Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Really excited to run out with you guys this week with Pride Round. It's a chance to celebrate inclusion and diversity, whether it's from our players, our staff, all the right way to our beautiful fans. We'll just have an open chat and yeah.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. Charlie, I think you had something to say about the Pride jumper.
So Ames, the new Pride jersey. Do you remember your first jersey you ran out in?
I actually can't really remember the specific jersey, but I remember with Freo, I feel like with footy, like there's so many new experiences that you get to have, and like Indigenous round as well, like it's just really cool to be a part of it and then just see like the kind of people that come down and like, I don't know, when you think of Pride round, it's like a really safe like space to be in, and I think it really welcomes people, and I think that was the best bit, is just seeing like so many people come down and embrace it. And you know, like over the years you see like even just families come down and it's just like, wow, like it's almost, I don't hate to say the word like normal, but it hasn't been like one of those things where it has been normal. So I think for people to just come down and really get involved with like face paint, holding flags, like even just the Guard of Honour, I think like it's really cool to just see that and yeah, be a part of it.
I freaking love that idea of like normal, and I think that's something I think about a lot during Pride, about my own experiences. I've shared with you guys before how quite a few members of my family are queer, and I really grew up in a space where there were same-sex attracted adults in my life. And I think I've been thinking about it a bit leading up to this conversation. I think the most remarkable thing about that was how like not interesting being gay is when that's what you're brought up around. Like it's just not a thing. And I remember like being 18 and going to my first Pride event in St Kilda and going to the march and things like that. And at the end of the night, I went back to my friend's house, and everyone sort of sat around and started telling their coming out stories. And I remember being there like, I didn't realise that was a real thing. Like I remember being 18 and sitting there being like, I thought coming out was something that happened in movies. Like I didn't realise people actually had to do that, because it just was it just was so boring to be gay. Like it just wasn't interesting in my family. It just was so normal. And I think that's like, I liked what you said there, because I think that's the beauty of Pride in sport and Pride in things like that, because it's so normal. Like it's just not that noteworthy to be gay and to come out and things like that, because it just is like, yeah, I see it every day. I see it on TV.
I feel like in and amongst our like AFLW four walls at this club, I almost forget that it's like not like that safe out in other places as well. Like I think we probably like take it for granted, like how safe and how proud everyone is, like to just be them true selves. And like sometimes I forget, I'm like, oh, it's like I wish it could be like this in everyone's life and every single day and every single environment. But so grateful that like inside our four walls, like everyone's just so happy and excited to be themselves. And like that's the best thing about Pride Round, I think, like just exploring and like celebrating, and doesn't matter who you are, like we love you, and come and watch the footy, enjoy a good game, and like yeah, it's all just so happy and warm and like exciting.
I love that from you, and I'd love to hear from Cavi as well, and probably Frankie and Jay too, like the younger girls, like having your whole football experience have been come up like in this AFLW space where there's such proud people around you. Like what's that like as a really young player to be surrounded by pride and our individuals?
Yeah, well, I actually grew up playing basketball a fair bit, so I wasn't surrounded by as much inclusion around pride as there is here. So in basketball, it was the women's and the men's team are always going out together and they're always training together. So then when I moved over here and I started playing footy, everyone here was like, they're so free with themselves, like in a good way, that I almost like didn't even blink when everyone was like, when we went out together and everyone started kissing girls, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, wow. It's like a whole new world. Like it wasn't like normal, but it wasn't not normal to me. Like it just felt so easy for them. So I was like, oh, what the hell, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's something I think I relate to that experience, because I only started playing footy, not the girls kissing girls, but I only started playing footy when I was about 15, and before that, I don't think there was probably anyone in my life that I knew that like had a different sexual identity. So when I started playing footy, what are you laughing at?
I love the way you speak.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to say gay or queer or whatever.
Say queer.
No, different sexual identity. I like that.
Oh, that's great.
That was actually
But I hadn't really been in an environment like that before. So to me, it was really eye-opening because it was so normalised and it was so inclusive and everybody could be exactly who they were. And it was something I hadn't really seen playing other sports. So it was something that was really novel to me and it was really exciting, especially with pride rounds and different things like that. It was just a whole new experience of something that I hadn't seen in other sports, which I think is what's amazing about AFL and particularly women's AFL is how much clubs and the leagues celebrate it and promote it to other people as well. But yeah.
Totally. I mean, I completely agree with you. I think there's lots of reasons I love footy, but I think one of the things that's so special about football and about women's sport in Australia in general, but in AFL and AFLW in particular, is that kind of built by queer women, heroes queer women, queer women kind of are built into the fabric, and because of that it's this incredible safe space. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing, and I think a really common story, and it's a bit of, a joke and a gag and a stereotype and stuff of women's footy, of that kind of a lot of us are queer. It's that sort of you get haters online being a bunch of lesbians playing footy and things like that, which is stupid. But also the truth in that comes from the fact that a lot of women come into sports spaces and come into football spaces having never had a safe space to explore themselves before. And they get into a football club where it's just everybody's different and diversity is beautiful, and they have this safe space to explore that thing that was inside of them the whole time. And it reveals things about themselves, about, who they're attracted to, about their own gender expression, all of these things. And then football just becomes this beautiful, diverse place at all levels. And I think it's just one of the most powerful things about football, and one of the things that I just love about it so much. Linda, you haven't said anything yet. For having been here from the very, very start, and obviously having come up through local footy, tell us about Pride, tell us about your experience.
It's grown so much over the last 10 years of AFLW. Obviously when AFLW first started, it was built on queer women, and I'd been in queer spaces for a long time playing waffle football in WA, but AFLW was really projected to Australia for the first time, and it was a really exciting space. It was I find it's grown a lot, and it's progressed, and especially my own views. I was quite shy, and in hindsight, not probably a little bit there's a lot of internalized homophobia, and we experienced a lot of that. But it's grown so much, and now it's just so proud and exciting, and I love Pride Round, and I love championing all the incredible queer women who have come before us and who will still come, and I love being a role model to kids, and it's good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I feel it's important to mention as well, it's so much about it is celebrating and things like that, but it's also probably an acknowledgement for the girls or for the people that have gone through some really tough times throughout finding out who they are, or whether it's to do with families or friends not being as accepting. But it's such a celebration, but in the meantime as well, it's giving space for those people that have gone through some really tough times to do with it as well, to really feel that and acknowledge it, and then hopefully have a really good time seeing everyone embrace who they are and just celebrate it.
That's such a beautiful point. We were sort of joking before about what's your favourite queer movie where the gay couple doesn't die? And we were well, there's none, because Hollywood, they love stories about queer suffering is really shown in TV and it's shown in media, and you're always seeing heartbreaking stories about people get kicked out of home, or the AIDS crisis and things like that are all very valid, important stories. But you're so right, queer joy is so important and so special, and I think that is so bang on. What is so beautiful about Pride Round is that it's just joy. We don't need to look at all the hard things about being queer and all the hard things that happen. It's a day, and it's a few weeks where you get to be it's same as Mardi Gras, and when you look at Pride marches all around Australia and things like that, you're it's just sick. It's cool and it's beautiful, and people get to be happy and people get to be themselves, and it's just this joyous, beautiful experience. So I love that you said that. That was beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Frankie, do you feel comfortable if we talk about Poppy?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we were like, hey, Frankie, you've obviously got like a hottie girlfriend in the AFLW,
Literally.
bit loved up at the moment. How do you find like being queer, like publicly in this space? Like, does that make you feel like Pride Round feel different now that you've got like a girlfriend in this space? Like, and if you don't feel comfortable talking about being gay, we don't have to do that.
No, that's fine. I think for me in like my journey, I think it's been a very like up and down thing of accepting myself and then just others accepting me. And I think I've gone through a bit of like not like a fight with myself of just kind of getting to the point where I just don't care anymore. And I think meeting Poppy has really opened my eyes to, I guess, not the severity of like what it's like being with like having a girlfriend and then being out in like the public eye and then like and just not caring. Because I think the bit with having a same-sex relationship or anything like that, like you feel like there's this pressure that you can't be yourself online, or like it has to be like a bigger deal when you post your partner and it's like it has to be this big thing. But I think I got to the point where I was like, who cares? Like I'm happy, like I'm like we both love each other and I think we both support each other, so who cares kind of thing. And
even like the fans that like made you and Poppy a bracelet
yeah.
each, like that is so.
Wait, there
I
was?
feel like that is so unique to like AFLW to just be like, I made you a bracelet and here's one for your girlfriend that plays on the other side of the country for another team.
Yeah,
like,
it was so cute.
That is so beautiful and like special. And,
Yeah.
like, would make you just feel like a big warm hug, being like, we accept you, like without people saying that, but it's like that little gesture is just like, we love and accept you and we're so happy for you. Like,
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
literally
So
so
special.
beautiful. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
No,
That's a great
it's-
other segue to talk about fans and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what does it mean? Because most clubs will have like an LGBTQIA plus fan club and stuff like that. Like, does anyone have other thoughts about like how awesome it is to have like queer fans and to have fans identify with us and stuff like that?
I love seeing all the queer fans
Yeah.
at the AFLW. I think it's such an exciting space where potentially like queer people haven't always felt very welcome in AFL spaces, and to see them so welcomed and so embraced and loved and accepted in the AFLW space, I think is so exciting. It's brought so many new fans to our game, and it's just such a fun atmosphere. Like I love interacting with all the fans in the fan zone after the game, and especially when you see like the same people coming each week, it's like you start building a bit of a like a playful little friendship with them as well, which is really, really fun. Just exciting.
Obviously, you know, previous West Coast player Mitch Brown came out as the first bisexual player in the AFLM, and we haven't really seen that in the AFLM space before. I think seeing him speak meant a lot to me. Like I definitely saw it and was like, I feel very proud to be at West Coast. I feel obviously like it was a hard time for him while he was here, but like did this incredibly brave thing, and that's something that I feel like very proud of. Like, did anyone have a reaction when he spoke, or like any thoughts about his coming out?
Jade, what did it mean to you?
For me, it was like, I think, because when I think about the AFL women's space, to me now, being gay or like wanting to explore your sexuality isn't something that's really unique or different. Like a lot of women in our space do that. And I think about it in the sense like sometimes people would describe a player and be like, oh, that's blah, 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 she's a lesbian. It was almost like it was describing characteristic about a person. Like I wouldn't describe you as Liz, the one with the brown hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whereas now I feel like it's so normalised and people, even from outside, don't look at it that way anymore. But for Mitch to come out and share his story, it kind of breaks open that first bit of barrier in the men's space. And obviously it's really difficult being the first like marquee type of player to come out, but what he's done will be so important for the next generation of men's players in particular, because I feel like in our space, women's players are really comfortable coming through and exploring their sexuality, but men probably don't have that comfort yet and don't have that safety net to kind of fall back on, knowing that they have shared experiences with their teammates or family or friends. So I think the significance of what he's done can't be understated, and that what he's done now will flow on for the next 10, 20 years, and it will make waves for the next generation of players coming through, which is just really, really exciting and really good for our men's space and all of the men's AFL really.
Yeah, I loved like watching the podcast, and number one, I thought he looked adorable. Like he was so smiley and he had a gorgeous little mullet. And
that's the power of pride. That's the power of pride. It makes you so happy.
His cute little tattoos. Like I was just like, you were doing bisexual, so now. But he just looked so happy and like free of like the burden of like being in the not in the closet probably because he was out obviously to his family and friends, but it was just such a brave moment and such a powerful moment for the AFL space, and I honestly don't think he would have done that if it wasn't for the AFLW. I think we are such good role models for him to then be able to feel comfortable enough in sharing his story, and I think as the AFLW we've actually pushed this space forward like hugely so, and in women's sport in general as well. But I was just so like happy and proud, and he looked so happy. And I can't wait to meet him in a few weeks' time. Like I really just want to be like, oh, like, so cute. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said about how much it's going to change the space, because like I suppose it also makes me think of like the Erin Phillips kiss, like when she won the Brownlow and she went and kissed her wife on TV, and it was the first.
I cried. Yeah. I'm like, no, like I thought that was just like, I was like,
same-sex kiss on Channel 7.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, it was after she just won. She got announced as like the best and fairest, and so she kissed her wife and then went up and accepted the award. And it was just such a moment where I was like, oh yeah, like that's what all the men's players do. Like that is the obvious thing. And it was just such a open
raw
display of just like affection and just like pride.
Yeah.
Just being like, I'm unashamedly myself. And I was just like, oh, queen.
Yeah. It changes everything. I'm pretty sure, fact check me, but I'm pretty sure it was the first same-sex kiss on Australian broadcast television. And so it just like was this literally world-changing moment. And like, I think that I would like to think that hopefully this Mitch Brown sort of coming out is going to eventually be in that similar space of just like, that was nothing for Erin Phillips. She loves her wife. She won an award. She naturally went and did this thing. And the ripple effect of that is that people get to see it on television, and it just like changes what the world can look like. And I think that is the other thing I love about like Pride Round and all that sort of stuff, because it's so true that like saying of like, well, you can't be what you can't see. And if you can't like imagine what a queer experience looks like, if you're like a young person going through these like feelings, how could you possibly know what to do? Like there's just no way for you to kind of like make that a reality. So like these little moments of queerness and these moments of pride, and AFLW has so many of them, like that changes worlds, like that changes lives. Like it's so cool.
Love that.
Through being in the AFLW space, what have you learnt about being an ally and allyship?
I think what I thought allyship has changed a lot over the last couple of years, especially like conversations we've had with you, Liz, and different people who've come through and shared their experiences and stuff. I used to think allyship was this big show of support, like it had to be doing parades and posting about stuff with charities and, you know, doing all these really extravagant acts of service that made it look like I'm really behind the movement. But what I realise now is people show allyship in all different ways, and it can be in really small gestures like wearing pride hats to our games, or you know, buying the pride jerseys. We had the shoelaces, like the rainbow shoelaces, really small things like that, or even coming to Pride Round, buying tickets, investing in what we're trying to build around Pride Round is a really easy way to show allyship without having to do something super active or something that's really out of your comfort zone to begin with. So I think everyone can practice allyship in a really simple way to begin, and, you know, dip your toes in the water and see what ways work for you. But there's so many ways that we do it and our fans do it and our family and friends do it that isn't like those big extravagant things that I was talking about. You can do it in really subtle ways that just show support and love.
I think on that, Jade, like through unfortunate events at our club, like it meant that our group was really able to like educate ourselves and like learn about pride and allyship in a really good way. Like, although it was through unfortunate events, we took a lot out of it, and I think the club took some major steps forward in, like you said, like the little things are what make big changes. Like there's no such thing as little things in showing pride and showing allyship and stuff like that. So yeah, just the importance of like tiny little things, or even just like open language, like using partner instead of gender specific, little things like that, like just go so far, and it like makes someone in a room feel seen when you might not have even intentionally left them out, and things like that. Like just being really particular in the way you talk and like really open-minded, I think is really important. And we're fortunate enough that we were able to learn that through unfortunate events, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, win-win kind of thing.
And what was, when we had our Pride education stuff as well, he spoke about the fact that the people who it matters to will notice.
Yeah.
And it was like the small things. He used the example of like the rainbow lanyard or the rainbow laces. People who don't really care or aren't affected wouldn't notice that, but someone who might have been through struggles or, you know, identifies as queer would notice those things. And it's such a small gesture, but it means a lot to them because immediately they feel comfortable in your presence as well. So that was something that really stuck with me from that, is just like you can do the smallest things to make people feel loved and supported without having to make it this like big outward show of like almost like a display, you know what I mean? Like you can do really small things that make people feel comfortable and loved.
Can I also add something to that? Going on the events that we've been through, and as a team we sort of came together and really discussed them. And previously I would have been like, or as a straight person in such a queer environment, I would have been like, that doesn't affect me. Like it's like a really bad thing that people do go through, but I'm also like, oh, it's not my problem that I'm going through. But forgive me if I butcher this, Liz said something that really stuck with me about like the structure and the foundation of why it's such a bad thing that it should not, I'm butchering this, but why people that, like it affects men so much is because the structure that it's built in and around, and that it's such a powerful thing to, when they say it, to actually really address it.
Yeah.
If you want to sort of explain it in a better way.
I think, no, I that means so much that resonated with you. I think maybe the conversation we were talking about was when I spoke to you guys, I think it was about that kind of this idea that when homophobia happens, it doesn't affect everybody. And I think what I really wanted to get across to everyone was that it affects every single person, because when you use homophobic language, it makes being different wrong, and it makes you need to change everything in your world so that you're not wrong. So if somebody makes a comment about a gay person and you're not gay, it doesn't make you upset with yourself or not like yourself as if you were a gay person being targeted, but it is going to make you think about what music you listen to, and it is going to make you think about what clothes you wear, and it's going to make you think about how you walk and how you talk to people and who you hang out with. It's going to fundamentally change how you present yourself. And so I think when people feel that, oh, you know, like homophobia doesn't affect me, so it's not really something that makes me upset. I think what I really wanted to express to you all was that it affects every single person. Like, not only does it affect you because it hurts somebody else, and that should affect you, but also if gay is scary, if gay is wrong and gay is scary and you don't want to be that, you're going to do everything you can to not be that. And that's your energy and that's your time, and that is stuff that you have to invest that hurts you. And I think, you know, this conversation we're having about Mitch Brown and the AFLM as well is that, like, about, you know, this being the first player. I think it's very unlikely that Mitch Brown is the only player ever in the history of the AFLM to have same-sex attraction in some capacity. But I think what is very likely is that there are individuals currently and historically who have seen this idea of gay as scary, and they've made themselves smaller because of it. And I think that's what I was trying to get across, and that means so much that it meant something to you. But I think that, again, like, I love what you said about us sort of AFLW probably being a part of influence for Mitch Brown, is that, like, when you get to see a space where that doesn't exist. Gay is not scary in the AFLW. There's nothing like, oh, I don't want to be identified with that, like, because it's not punitive. You're not going to get punished for being that. We get to have this joy and we get to have this difference. And I liked what you said, that Mitch Brown probably did look at this space and go, God, I would have loved to be in an environment where, like, I could have dressed and acted and loved whoever I wanted. Like, I think that's so beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you, my love.
And I think on that as well, like, I just was thinking about how, like, being homophobic can affect, like, everyone. And I think it just made me think of how many things are kind of like stereotypical, but also like I don't know the way to word it, but let's just say like people wearing jorts or even like girls playing footy, like you automatically go, oh, they're all lesbians. And it's like even people wearing jorts, like if you saw a straight person wearing jorts or whatever, like there's so much like, oh, that's really gay, or like all these things. And I think with like the pride round and everything, I think it also can just make people want to be themselves. And that doesn't mean like coming to these things like you have to be gay, you have to be bi, you have to be like all of these things, like you can just be you, and there doesn't have to be like any labeling on anything. And I think that's where it's like, I don't know, the type of music that we listen to, it's like, oh, that makes people think that, oh, if a guy's listening to Taylor Swift, it's like, oh, you would think all these things about him, and it's just annoying because it's like, why can't people just do and be who they are, but not have these like stereotypes of like, oh, if you do this, that means you're gay, or if you do this, you like, I don't know, and it just annoys me because it's like Cavi and Jade, like you guys play like women's footy, but that doesn't automatically make you lesbians or gay, like, but it's just this annoying thing that it comes with it, and it just pisses me off because it's like that's the price that you have to pay like play the sport that you love.
And like on that, something even, this is what your point before, Charlie, where you were saying like in here it's so normalised and you know you don't even think twice or anything about it, but even sometimes like people will be like to me, oh, you're still playing footy, are you gay yet? Like people ask that question and it just baffles me every time because I'm like, obviously it's a stereotype and there is truth in it as well, but it's just such a crazy thing to ask someone, like,
oh yeah, in any context.
In any context, so you know what I mean, like
shorts is a perfect example.
No, seriously,
stupid.
But that's what I
like,
mean.
It's ridiculous.
Like that still is a thing for some people to be like, oh, exactly on that point, like, oh, you're still playing footy. Does this mean like you're a lesbian? Yeah, and I'm just like, if I was A, it wouldn't matter, but B, like, what a strange thing to ask me. Wouldn't you be like, how's your team going? Like, how's pre-season? Like, it just strikes me as a really strange question. It just shows that some people still in their mind think of it as like it's just such a thing for them, whereas like to us, I would never think about it in that way.
We've still got and that's why I think also Pride Round is so important because we've got so far to go in this space. Like, you know, queer people still experience higher rates of domestic violence, suicide rates. Homelessness, yeah. So there's still a long, and especially trans people, disproportionate in these statistics as well. So there's still a really there's still a long way to go in these areas, and that's another reason why Pride Round is so important because we've still got
far to go.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. We're going to wrap up here. It was such a beautiful experience talking about Pride with you girls. I love playing with you, and I'm really excited for us to be able to experience this Pride Round together. Thank you so much to anyone who listens, and up the Eagles in Pride Round 2025.